Hi everybody, so today we are going to do lesson number 2, and this is a review of multiplying monomials and binomials. So we did do a little bit of this in geometry, and we definitely did this in Algebra 1. Alright, so let's quick look at this, and we're going to label the monomial. So monomial 1, right? Remember with a monomial you can't have a negative exponent though, so that's important. All right, so where would this, I can't move it with the program I'm using. What's the power? The power is the 4. So the power or the exponent. So that's actually, there's two words. Sorry, I need to hold my iPad different. Power or exponent is the 4. All right, so those are done. What is the coefficient? That is your 3. So coefficient is the number in front of the x. And remember, these are multiplying, right? It's invisible. The base is your x. So the base is the thing that's being raised to a power. So, exponential form. If I have, why isn't my eraser working? If I have x to the 6, what does x to the 6 mean? It means x multiplied by itself 6 times, right? So keep that in mind. All right, so back from Algebra 1, what is x to the 3rd times x to the 5th? X to the 8th. Number 2, what is x 8 times 8 to the 4th? So remember, when you don't have an exponent, there's an invisible 1 there, right? I have an 8, I have 1 8, we add, right? So remember, the reason we add, x to the 3rd is 3x's, x to the 5th is 5x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so altogether we have 8x's. So that means our rule, x to the n times x to the m, we just add our exponents, right? And if it helps, write the words out. Add the exponents. If you don't like the n plus m, just write it out in words. All right, so I want you to pause the video and do these 4 problems. So we have 2x to the 8th times x to the 3rd. So we have the 2 is just going to chill out front, and we add our exponents. 8 plus 3 is 11. Number 4, we multiply our coefficients together. 3 times 8 is 24. We add our exponents, x to the 7. Number 5, multiply our coefficients. 2 times 3 times 4. That gives us 24. And then we add our x's. How many x's are there? 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. And then the last one, we have negative 11 and negative 5 gives me positive 55. X, we have 7, and don't forget the invisible 1. So 7 plus 1 is 8. That's it. All right, so now what if we had an exponent to an exponent? So remember, if we expand this out, x to the 6th to the 3rd, that means x to the 6th 3 times. So what does that end up, what do we get when we add up our exponents? 18. So remember, the rule here is you really just multiply, right? So without showing any work, what would be number 8? M to the 10th. You just multiply. That's m to the 5th times m to the 5th. So notice the difference between m to the 5th times m to the 2nd is m to the 7th versus, notice the difference between these. So in this one on the bottom, you have 2 m's, but in number 8, if you look, there's only 1 m. So that's what you want to look for. How many variables are there? In this case, we only have 1 variable and 2 exponents. Down here, we have 2 m's and 2 exponents. So that's important to recognize. So our rule here is we just multiply n times m. Okay, that's it. All right, so again, pause the video, and I want you to try this one on your own. So you have two options. You can write it out 3 times, right? So we have 2b to the 4th 3 times. So 2b to the 4th, 2b to the 4th, 2b to the 4th. And then just multiply. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And then 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12. Now, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. What you can do, and now here's the issue. A lot of kids forget to raise the coefficient to the power. So it's -3 to the 4th and then a to the 28th. So we multiply, but we also have to raise the coefficient to the 4th. -3 to the 4th is -3 times -3, 9, and then times 9. So it's 81, a to the 28th. So the key here, you can skip, you can do these faster by just taking it to the, multiplying the exponents and stuff, but just be really careful and don't forget your exponent. So in number 11, we have -7 squared, x 2 times 4 is 8, and then remember that y has a 1, 1 times 2 is 2, and then I'm going to do -7 squared, which is 49, x to the 8th, y squared, and we're done. All right, division. What's our rule for division? It is subtraction. Now, do you remember why? Well, if we expand out x to the 8th, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over 3x's. So we've got 1x cancels, 1x cancels, that x. So how many x's are left? We're left with 5. 13. Just subtract our exponents. So it's 5 to the 7th. And 5 to the 7th is way too crazy. All right, so our rule here is just subtract. X to the n over x to the m. Subtract your exponents. All right, I want you to pause the video and see if you can do these. All right, so remember we're not subtracting these. That's a fraction. 24 divided by 3 is -8. A. 10 minus 7 is 3. 15. Divide your coefficients. It's -16. Now you can write a to the first or just 16a. Either way, whatever makes you more comfortable. 16. 25 divided by 5 is 5. X. 8 minus 2 is 6. And then 15 minus 3 is 12. Now be careful. I made those multiples. A lot of kids will do 15 divided by 3 is 5. So make sure you are subtracting. All right, and our last one, we get 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. So that's x to the first. And then don't forget the 1 on the bottom. 8 minus 1 is 7. All right, so now before you move on, I want you to draw a star. Draw a star somewhere on your paper or next to number 17. I'm going to look for it when I check your notes. All right, so now we're going to use what we just talked about, and we're going to distribute. So when you distribute, remember when you have x's, you're going to add your exponents. So 2x to the third times 2x to the first. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 plus 1 is, and 3 plus 1 is 4. And then 2 times 5 is 10. And then that x to the third is just going to chill there. All right, pause the video and try 19 and 20 on your own. All right, so we get 8 times 9 is 72. X times x is x squared. That's important. Don't forget that. 8 times 10 is 80, with that x just chilling out front. And last one. Negative 5 times 11 is negative 55. X. 7 and 4 is 11. Minus, it's not a minus though, because notice we have a negative and a negative. A negative and a negative give us a positive. 10x, there's an extra 1 there to the 8th. And then a negative times a negative times a positive, sorry, is a negative 45. And then don't forget your x7. A lot of kids leave off that last variable. That was with the 5. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now, how do you multiply two binomials? So I liked what I call this double distributing, right? We're distributing twice. So when we talk about two binomials, an example would be x plus 5 times x plus 2. So we have to distribute twice. Some teachers teach FOIL. I'm actually not going to show you FOIL. If you know it, that's fine. So what we do is we distribute the first one term of the first binomial. So I'm going to distribute my x to that entire thing. And then we distribute the 5 to the entire thing. So we have to distribute both the x and the 5. Then the second term of the first binomial. And then combine like terms. So here's what how I'm gonna have you guys do this. Can you use FOIL? If you know it, sure. Just make sure you're doing it right. The reason is we're gonna get into some harder problems in Algebra 2. So I wanna show you another way to do it. So if I have x plus 5, I'm gonna do it in different colors, times x plus 2. I'm gonna take my first x, this x, right? And I'm gonna multiply that times x plus 2. And then I'm going to take my 5, this 5, and multiply that by x plus 2. So I'm going to separate it out. It's one extra step from typical FOIL, if that's what you remember. And then I distribute. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. And then we combine the middle two. So we get x squared plus 7x plus 10. And that's how I'm going to do it in this class. If you don't like it, sorry. If you FOIL, you would just get this, but you would jump right here. You would skip over this, but I like this method. It prevents errors. A lot of kids don't necessarily recognize what's supposed to be multiplied. Okay. All right, I want you to pause the video and try this one on your own. So again, I'm going to break this into colors. This is my green, and this is my blue. So I'm going to start with my green x. My green x has to multiply my blue binomial. And then my green 5, the minus 5, has to multiply my blue binomial. So we're taking the green, and we're kind of separating it out, x minus 5, and putting the x plus 11 next to both of them. Distribute. X times x is x squared plus 11x. Distribute the 5. Minus 5x minus 55. I also did that. So that gives us x squared plus 6x minus 55. All right. Is this the last? No, we got one more slide after this. All right. Again, I'm going to separate it by color. I'm going to make this one blue and this one red. So my blue x times my red x minus 7 minus my blue 10 times my x minus 7. Distribute. X times x is x squared minus 7x. Negative 10 times x is negative 10x plus 70. Don't forget that you have a negative times a negative. Those middle two terms will always combine. So x squared minus 17x plus 70. That's it. All right, this is our last slide. Pause the video and try these on your own. So I'm going to do red and blue again. Those colors just work the best for this app I'm using. So I've got my 5x this time, times my x minus 6, and then my 3 times my x minus 6. Distribute. 5x times x is 5x squared minus 30x. And now my 3x minus 18. Those middle two terms go together. 5x squared minus 27x minus 18. All right, last one. Make this green. Let's do Christmas. Christmas colors. 2x times 3x plus 4 minus 9 times 3x plus 4. So you should have done these already. We're checking our work, guys. 2 times 3 is 6, x squared. 2 times 4 is 8, 8x. Don't forget your x. Negative 9 times 3, negative 27x. And negative 9 times 4 is negative 36. Put those two middle terms together and we get 6x squared minus 19x minus 36. Now, if you used a calculator, that is fine, guys. Have your calculator with you. Use it for these multiplication. I don't want you to like be sitting there for a bazillion years. What's 8 and negative 27? I can't remember. Use a calculator. It's fine. I have no problem with that. All right, so you have your worksheet number 2. That is review lesson number 2. I hope it wasn't too bad. Email me if you have any questions. See you later.